So given the fact that the US is likely going to isolate further, this is my humble advice to Europe. Not saying these things are easy, I'm saying they're probably necessary and they are going to be hard. And when I say European Union, I'm also including the United Kingdom. Understand they're not actually a part of the European Union anymore, but for this purposes, we're just lumping them in there with them. So it's a 21-point plan, and I'll just dive into number one. You need to increase defense spending. European countries should absolutely meet 3% of GDP for defense spending immediately. I know NATO makes the suggestion of 2%, but y'all need to reach 3%. Number two, develop a unified European Union defense strategy. This includes coordinating rapid deployment forces, logistics, and collective security measures within the European Union to reduce your reliance on US defense. Number three, you need to assume a larger role in Ukraine aid. You need to prepare to lead with military, financial, and humanitarian aid as US security support may dwindle. And also included in this is allow Ukraine to use their weapons as they see fit. Unrestrict that. Number four, come together and align on a Ukrainian peace strategy. Form a unified European stance to support Ukraine's sovereignty and prevent a peace settlement that favors Russia. I know this is difficult because you have countries like Hungary, but it's something that will provide a unified front against Russia. Number five, establish an EU Lend-Lease program. Consider a European Lend-Lease model for Ukraine that is similar to the proposed $500 billion US Lend-Lease framework to fund defense purchases. You guys are very wealthy, far more wealthy than Russia, and this is something that you need to start thinking about. Number six, reinforce your NATO commitment, even if it means doing so within the European continent. Affirm mutual defense commitments among European NATO members to strengthen the alliance if there is a potential situation where the US is saying they may withdraw. Number seven, and I know many diplomats already know this, but you need to engage with Trump's transition team. They're going to be in charge. Trump is in charge. Open immediate discussions to clarify his stance on NATO and Ukraine and reinforce Europe's commitment to transatlantic security and see if you can get some of those commitments out of the Trump administration as well. Number eight, plan for contingencies outside of the NATO framework. This goes along with what I said earlier. Develop that rapid response force. Increase deployment plans in Eastern Europe in case of reduced U.S. engagement in the NATO mission. Things that secure Europe yourselves. Number nine, boost your cyber and intelligence cooperation. This will strengthen your defense against Russian cyber threats by increasing EU and NATO cybersecurity collaboration. Number 10, expand your global partnerships outside of the European continent. Strengthen your ties with Japan, South Korea, Australia, Canada, all to maintain global support for Ukraine and your own regional security and stability. Number 11, bolster European defense industries. In the near term, you can work with U.S. entities to develop internal weapons production capability, and over the long term, you have some of the best manufacturers in the world. You can do it yourselves and not rely so much on the United States, and this kind of goes with that 3% of GDP increase in capacity. Number 12, distance yourself from China. China is a clear ally to Russia. Integrating their tech into your critical civilian and military infrastructure, as well as relying on them for goods, will lead to a similar situation Russia put you in when it came to energy at the beginning of the war in Ukraine. Number 13, accelerate your energy independence initiatives. Prioritize investments in renewable energy and diversify energy imports to avoid vulnerabilities similar to those experienced with Russian energy. We're already seeing this. This is one you already know. I just wanted to reinforce it. Number 14, strengthen your Eastern European military presence. Consider bolstering military presence and capabilities along the eastern NATO border to reassure frontline states like Poland and the Baltic countries, signaling deterrence to Russia and reinforcing European security. Number 15, coordinate information warfare and media literacy programs. Launch European Union-wide initiatives to combat misinformation, particularly targeting Russian propaganda, and educate the public on media literacy to protect against influence campaigns that destabilize democracies. This is something the United States could really use as well. Number 16, establish a European intelligence agency. Develop an EU-centered intelligence agency focused on sharing critical data and coordinating threat analysis across member states. This can be integrated into NATO, but it's something that you need to do internally just in case, as I said before, the US starts to pull back from its commitments in NATO. Number 17, strengthen economic sanctions and enforcement mechanisms, especially against Russia. Create stronger unified EU sanctions that hit hard at Russia and can be aimed at Chinese entities that are involved in destabilizing activities. This includes setting up an enforcement body to prevent circumvention of sanctions within the EU borders, which is happening as we speak. It's how Russia continues to get both European Union and American tech via third parties. Number 18, promote defense research and development. Increase your funding for defense research and development to reduce technological dependence on the US and stimulate innovation within Europe. Collaborative defense projects across the EU nations could help build advanced military capabilities. And if you come up with some wildly new tech, it's something that we can all share together, including with the United States as a potential collaborating partner. And none of this is signaling that the US is leaving. I'm just saying it's better to be prepared than not to be. Number 19, secure your critical infrastructure. Establish EU-wide standards for securing critical infrastructure, both military and civilian, especially telecommunications, transport, and energy. This includes expanding oversight on tech acquisitions from countries like China and Russia. Number 20, enhance your strategic reserves for critical supplies. Build up reserves for essential resources such as medical supplies, rare earth minerals, and energy resources to avoid supply disruptions in times of geopolitical tensions. And finally, strengthen your diplomatic corps. Strengthen the European diplomatic corps and expand the EU diplomatic initiatives globally, especially in places like Africa, Asia, and Latin America, to counterbalance Russia and China in those regions. If you can do all of these things, and again, it's extremely hard. None of this is easy at all. But if you can do it, you're definitely going to be on much stronger footing, and you will be just as powerful as the United States, if not potentially more so.